Coming up next in Let's Play Cards, we discuss the February patch and we take a look at the second part of the French ally nation Mobilize mechanic. Coming right up! Greetings and welcome, I am Mengel and this is Kards, the World War II digital collectible card game. We'll be having a look at the... Attention, just a quick interruption. This video is longer than intended. I'm covering a few topics in one episode. Be sure to check the video description or the comments area. There's timestamps. It's there for your convenience, so you can simply just click on the desired topic. Thank you. Continue. French ally nation. So this is the second part of my series looking at the French ally. If you want to have a look at the first one, which was the Viva la Resistance deck I played with, which was the resistance mechanic of this game, be sure to check the right top hand corner. There will be a link to that episode. However, this is the second part of looking at the French ally nation, and today we are looking at Mobilize. The thematic idea with Mobilize reflects the general unready state of the French army at the outset of the war. They had plenty of manpower and some decent equipment. They just needed time to organize and gear up. Time was not what they got, which can be reflected in the cards by fast blitz decks disrupting the Mobilize units before they can really get going. So when playing a Mobilize deck, you want to delay and disrupt the enemy to give your Mobilize units time to grow into something fearsome. Units with Mobilize at start turn receive +1/1, but will lose Mobilize if they are damaged. This means that as long as the unit with Mobilize hasn't received any damage, it will grow by 1/1 at the start of every one of your turns. The units with Mobilize are generally priced in such a way that if they are damaged immediately, they are underwhelming for their cost. If they get the bonus once, they are generally on par, and if they get it 2 or more times, they are starting to punch above their weight. Note that Mobilize is only lost on damage, not necessarily just combat, so a bloody sickle will remove the Mobilize, but a Mobilized unit with heavy armor can for instance fight and retain its Mobilized status as long as the heavy armor stops combat damage. Upon losing the Mobilize status, the unit will no longer gain +1/1 at the start of your turn, but will retain any bonuses accrued so far. Jumping in game, we can have a quick look at the Mobilize deck. So it's named Wall of Steel. Thanks again to my Discord members. They help me with decks as this one, because I do not play with this mechanic myself. So thank you to you guys. And so it's a Russian, 28 cards, French ally. This is the Mobilized version, as mentioned once again. And so it's got 31 units this time around and 8 orders. And so I'm not going to go into great detail, but you can have a quick look at what we are doing here. So we've got artillery. If you go up against air decks, you can rely on artillery, especially early game. 16th rifle, same mechanic as the Mobilize. At the start of your turn, gain 1/1. Nice thing about the 16th rifle obviously is they've got smokescreen. PATRIOTIC FIRESTORM. I might add an extra copy because your units are in the support line, so the +2 is always good to have. Sortie. Target unit with Mobilize, it gets Fury this turn, and at the end of your turn, fully repair the unit. So this is nice if you have one of your units that's got the Mobilize. Another card you'll see shortly can add Mobilize to any other one of your units, which is also quite nice. KATYUSHA, obviously it's a staple in the Soviet decks. Mud, a new Allegiance card as well. Enemy ground units cannot attack next turn. So this seems to me like a typical artillery deck. So we've got the 48th Regiment d'Infanterie. I don't think I sounded French. Mobilize has guard when it doesn't have Mobilize. So you'll have this in the support line, but hopefully the idea is to put all your French units next to the Russian Guard units, for instance, so the Russians are looking after the French in this version. So another staple for the Soviets. I like this unit. So when you deploy this French ally nation fighter unit, you actually get to give another unit mobilized. So good value. I actually enjoyed playing with this deck. It's a 3-2. The operation cost is quite expensive, but I guess it's not that far out of the norm. Barrage. Choose one. Enemy units have -2 attack for this turn, or deal 4 damage to a ground unit. So nice versatility there. Is 2 units, 2 copies of Barrage. SU-152. I mean, it's got heavy armor 1, and deployment gets fury if the enemy controls a tank. So nice versatility options. Obviously this is a standard card, a special rarity. If I say standard, I mean from the core initial cards. So very nice mechanic as well for this deck. And then we've got another Mobilize Guard French unit, 2nd Brigade. Straightforward. It has guard and it starts with a 2-6. So the initial cost to play it is expensive, but the one operation cost is not too shabby. I think you might even want to have 2 of him. This is also very nice. Deployment gets +2 attack for each friendly mobilized unit. So you want to play your airplane units, the H-75C1, to mobilize more units, and then hopefully if you've got 2 or 3 mobilized units, I mean, even if you only have 1, that +2 is fairly strong. It's a 2-5. So you guys can see more or less what the mechanic is. I've got a few elite Soviets. I added the KV1, which is obviously a strong card. Also, if you're going like a defensive artillery type of deck and your opponent gets to draw cards, they take extra damage, so that's always good to have. Double damage to infantry and HQ. Yes, I've got 1 copy in this deck. And then second lastly is the ISU-152. I mean, I've got the elite, so I might as well make use of them. And then the last card is the KV2. So this works very nicely as well, especially if you go up against the air or opponent artilleries. So I've played with this deck 3 or 4 odd times, and I really enjoyed playing with it. I did ask one of my community members from my Discord server to help me out. I wanted to illustrate the new patch changes in game. So this week around we'll be doing things differently. I've recorded the game already, so I will showcase the game, and then we'll give like a director's cut commentary while the game plays off, and I will discuss the updates, visual changes, and I will also talk about the game itself. And then what we'll do is next week we'll play another game with this deck, just to give it a bit more a fair, treatment, if you will. And then also what we'll do is we'll look into a resistance deck, because resistance is annoyance in this community. So I'm gonna get us a deck that resists the resistance, anti-resistance, anti-magic deck, if you will. So that's something to look forward to for next week. So jumping over back to the previous recording, so we can see that I'm challenging potato aim.wave to WAV, and we are jumping in the game, and I decided then to play with the Wall of Steel. I asked him to join me. Usually I don't showcase decks playing friends in my friends list. The reason was I wanted to look at the February improvements, so we'll talk about that. So yes, potato aim.wav, wave, I guess. You guys will see there what my initial thoughts was with this game, is just to have cheap units to start with. I do apologize, you'll see the cursor runs around a bit. I was looking at how to do the in-game chat, which is one of the first notes on the new patch. So balances and patches updates, it's the in-game chat. You can only chat with those in your friends lists. You can chat while in a match. It is not possible to resize the chat window but you can drag it around and minimize it. You are responsible for what you type in chat. Don't harass your friends. And then improved auto recycle. In the past, when you used to open your packs and there was duplicate copies, you would need to basically you would just notice that it would automatically recycle it, and that you would just get the amount added at the top left hand corner on your resources. Now it's not like that anymore. The reason for the change is that the current system makes it rather hidden when a card is being broken down, especially for newer players. They don't know what's going on. So now it's visually more clearer. In your library, there is now a button for you to manually break down your surplus of your cards. So that's also a very nice update. And then the improved battlefield UI improvements. You probably already noticed, if you haven't played recently, the cursor when you do attacks or move your units, it's been changed. The turn order, that your turn, as you just saw now, has changed. So yes, the targeting arrow received a revamp. Timing of draws, discard, and some card effects are more subtle regarding the changes. And then another neat new addition is the ability to see cost changes on cards in your hand more clearly, whether they cost more or less than their base costs. I haven't seen that happen yet. That would be something nice to look for. So unfortunately I didn't get that, but that's another change. I like the your turn notification. It looks beautiful. You will see now when I do the attack, the new cursor looks very nice. There we go. So I mobilized my KATYUSHA. So now at the next start it's going to get +1/1. It just so happens that I could play more aggressive in this matchup. You'll see I moved that unit forward. I didn't care if he takes damage. I was still figuring out how to do the chat. Alright, so yes, it's a 3-5. I'm still figuring out how to do the chat. Director's cut version. It feels so strange to commentate on a game after I played it. Usually when I play it, you are more in the middle of it, so you can hear the current hype. Should have shot that artillery unit, the 1-1, but I think at that stage I was still keeping it in the smoke screen. Yes, amphibious assault, that wasn't very nice. Potato Aim did state that he had crummy card draw. We obviously could chat in Discord while playing, but now I like that you can chat with your friends in game. That's a nice addition. So as stated, I didn't showcase this deck as nicely as I was hoping, so I will next week we'll play another matchup with this Mobilize deck. If you want to see the deck list, it's available down in the video description area. And then what we'll do is we'll also next week have a look at the anti-resistance deck. If you go up against a resistance opponent, a deck that resists it. It's just, personally, I don't go up often against a resistance opponent, so maybe, I don't know if it's where I am in the ladder, maybe, I'm not too sure. I'll maybe ask the guys, I'll do a vote, top right hand corner of this video, be sure to answer the vote. How often do you go up against a resistance French deck? You can state more or less to the best of your knowledge. I'll put in more than 7. No, let's make it more than 50% or less than 50%. I mean, even 50% is a lot. Maybe I should make it more than 25% or less than 25%. If you say more than 25% of the times, I mean, if you play 100, or let's say if you play 10 games, then you'd probably go up against 2 or 3 odd times you would go up. Let's say 3 times you would go up against a French resistance deck, which is actually a lot, I still feel. So I personally don't know if I personally wouldn't warrant having a deck like that. So yes, it's GG. Just played mud for the fun of it, and I guess to work on my achievements. Thanks for the game. Potato aim. So we are back over in game. Currently I've been playing more drafts and not spending in-game gold on card packs, but nonetheless, for the sake of education, let's do it. So in the past, your resource would show the top left-hand corner, and then when you open a copy card, it would just automatically go up +1. So I would have 250 odd resources, and you would just see like a little +1 or whatever the cost would be, and then would go up. So now going to your card collection. So you would see over here, it states all your duplicates. You can just, by the click of a button, recycle, breakdown per rarity. Well, you can, I guess you can click on the individual ones as well, can you? No, I don't know. I guess you just recycle excess cards for resource that can be used to create new cards. I mean, that's what it's all about, the CCGs, isn't it? Let's check my American. I always click on British if I want to do American. Was usage extra? No, I can't remember. It was the one where they're all on the beach unpacking supply shipments. So unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it shows you per card that you've got more than 4 copies. I guess that is not a biggie. I mean, what are you going to do with extra copies? It basically just tallies it up on the top right hand corner. So now you can go nice. 52 resource. I say thank you, sir. Wow, is that all I got? I'm broke. It's with the French decks I spent all my resource. Interesting. Well, that is the resource, breaking down of the resource. Obviously, top left hand corner, you can still see it over there. Also, the tooltip that pops up with the breakdown of what the resource is for. So we're doing things like backwards and forwards and back to front today. So the last thing I wanted to touch on and discuss is the new card changes, balances. So jumping back to the February patch updates. So we discussed the in-game chat, the auto recycle that has been adjusted, and then the Battlefield user interface. We discussed all of those and shown you them. So card balances, let me zoom in. I'll adjust the post-production so it's not like skew. So we are making balance tweaks to 6 cards this time around. The first 3 are to balance better the experience at lower tiers for newer players. The last 3 are then intended to adjust the balance slightly at the higher tiers. Let's get to them. So I'm not going to read everything. I don't think I'm actually going to read anything. You are more than welcome. The link will be down in my video description to head over to the updates link, and you can have a read for yourself, and also on the thinking of the developers, why they have done that. I'll just touch on my opinions and the changes. So the first change is the 22nd Guards Brigade, 4124 guard unit deployment. Give adjacent tank and infantry units +1/1. So they thought they would buff this lower tier card. 25 pounder. It was stated that this unit was very hard to deal with in the lower tiers. I personally do not play with this card or go up against it that often to can state. I guess my ladder and matchups, the people I face on a regular basis, do not play with this card anymore, so I cannot comment on this decision. Spoos, for instance, felt that this card is unplayable now. If you want to hear his opinions on the new card changes, top right hand corner is his link to his latest video, so be sure to check that out if you want to check out his opinion on the latest card changes. Next one up, Yeah, on this, the 25 pounder, I mean, it's a 4-1. I think it's still a playable card. I mean, 2-4. It's never nice when they nerf your card, especially if Britain is your main nation. It's not mine, so honestly, it's my last nation. So unfortunately, I'm not biased or couldn't care less personally. But if I am to give my opinion, I feel like 2-3. At one operation cost is not too bad, especially lower tiers. There's not a lot of cheap solutions to get rid of this card. The devs felt this card was too hard to get rid of in the lower tiers. So looking at the broader picture from my perspective, I think this card is still playable. It is expensive to place, however, 4 cost is expensive, but I think it's still playable personally. So the 28cm coastal Hausiter, I can't even say that word. I personally go up against a lot of people that play this card, and I started playing this card more often myself lately. It's gonna hurt me, the 3-3, the 3 operation cost. It might be a good change in this regard. I'm obviously, it's my second favorite nation, so I'm not too happy about the change, but nonetheless, it seems a valid reason for changing that. Unexpected resistance. They just, because they nerfed the desert rats, they just thought they would give some love back to the British. So pin a unit that moves to the front line. If it has blitz, destroy it instead, so it's now 0 cost. I'm thinking they want to see more play out of this card, this countermeasure, unexpected resistance card. And then we've got the elite Soviet 83rd Naval Brigade. It used to be a 5-1, 4-4 ambush guard keyword. Deployment, destroy enemy unit that is damaged. I've seen more play from this card recently, and the devs did state that they hate, aka otherwise known as hate. They hate, nerfing elite cards. They tend not to want to touch them, but unfortunately, they felt this card was getting a bit too overpowered. Also stated, where is it now? I can't see it, but I did read it. Here it is. If you have crafted this card very recently, be sure to contact Thomas in the Discord. He will give you a full refund on credits, and then you will remove the card from your library. So that is very nice from the devs. If you have crafted this card recently and you are not happy with the change, be sure to speak to Thomas. He's one of the developers. I believe he's the public relations manager. The community manager. He'll help you out on that regard. And then the last change is the Sherman. Sorry, I'm rushing it. This video is, I don't want to make it too long, so I also don't want to take away from cards, but we are trying to do it in an orderly fashion and not sitting here for 8 hours talking about my opinions. So yes, this Sherman, it's a full cost 2 operation M4 Sherman, American, USA, 4-4 deployment. If you control the front line, draw a card. I felt that was a good balanced card as it was. In my opinion, they buffed it significantly, a great deal. The devs basically stated that they felt the main nation USA wasn't getting as much love, and they are trying to get some of the players to start playing more often with USA again. So now the change is deployment. If you have a USA unit in the front line, you get to draw 2 cards. I also mentioned on Spooz's comments on his YouTube video I mentioned earlier that I feel this is overpowered. I feel this is a strong card now, and that's definitely something to consider if you play with an American deck. I think they mentioned that the last cards were more aimed for the higher tier player base, but this, even for lower tier, I mean, this is all around. It's a strong card now. It feels a bit overpowered for me personally. And then they've discussed more of what's to come and the math and what they're thinking. So yes, if you want to read through that, be sure to head over to the link for the latest patch. And that is everything, my friends, in a nutshell. I thank you for watching this video and sticking to the very end. Until the next episode, we will be playing with the French Mobilize deck again, and then also we'll be playing with an anti-resistance deck to stick it back to the Frenchmen. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, lekker dag and bye bye.